officials were inspecting, and they realized that one customer had some abnormal images from the check-in luggage. They opened the suitcase.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Impulso podcast by Momentum Works. So today we have a special guest joining us because we are going to be talking about... not Jianggan. Jianggan is a regular guest now. We have a special guest joining us because we will be talking about Labubus. Recently what we've been seeing is that Chinese customs has been cracking down on fake Labubus, or as they call it, Lafufus.
What happened in June is that the customs of China has posted multiple messages on their social media platforms saying that at various locations, the customs officials are busy catching fake Labubus. One of the posts had an interesting title called, "Oh, there are so many of them. We tried very hard and we can't catch them all."
We can't catch them.
So
the Pokemon thing, so gotta catch them all.
So to show you guys a few examples, this is the one talking about customs in Daxing Airport, the second international airport in Beijing. And the officials were inspecting, and they realized that one customer had some abnormal images from the check-in luggage. They opened the suitcases, and they realized that they had 952 Labubus and 1,586 boxes. So, if you squeeze that into one piece of luggage, that's
mad. I don't think you can squeeze that into one. Also, that's quite creepy. Like, imagine you look at the X-ray scanner or whatever they use to scan.
Yeah, that's how Discovery said, okay, this looks like abnormal.
And then you just see like rows and rows of these little monsters in the suitcase.
Of course, this is all sort of soft material, right? So it's probably not posing any safety concern for aviation, but but it will look creepy.
There was another one as well, right?
So these ones, they discovered how many?
They discovered about 34,620 fake Labubus.
That's not about. That's like a very precise number.
It's a very
They must have counted.
They have to. I guess while they're checking, they have to count. Kind of. So it's.
Yeah.
But it's mad. 34,000. Why is the Chinese customs so adamant on catching this fake Labubus?
I don't know, because usually they're not so zealous about. Doing this for
fake goods, right?
Yeah.
Like.
Or goods which are not branded and stuff. I guess because last few times when some senior leadership from the government, when they talk about cultural export, they mention about Labubu. So I think it has caught attention of some senior officials. And of course, sending lots of fake goods doesn't resonate well with this sort of cultural export.
So I guess they're trying to, they don't want too many fake Lafufus.
They probably don't want fake Labubus, but at the end of the day, and how much you can control, right? So that's probably sending a signal. And if there's still profit to be made on producing and shipping fake Labubus, people will do it.
True.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, right? So this shows just how big Labubu is now, that there's such a huge counterfeit market for it. And it's not just a counterfeit market. There's actually also a really big resale market for Labubus. So obviously the whole concept of Pop Marts and Labubus is that it's sort of a blind box thing, right? So there's a huge second-hand market because there's people who would buy a bunch and then they would open it and sell specific color that you would want and all. Do you want to guess how much the most expensive Labubu was sold for?
Must be in the millions, right?
So the most expensive Labubu is this 131 centimeters life-size
It's as tall as a kid.
Yeah, it's as tall as a kid. But it's not like a soft Labubu. I think it's like a...
That was one of the first generations, right?
Yeah, it's one of the original ones. So
truly limited.
It was resold in an auction in Beijing, where for about 1.2 million RMB. So that's about $150,000. That's mad.
Sifil is shaking head because she has been an avid Labubu collector and she knows the prices. Yeah.
So it just shows that there's such a huge counterfeit market, and of course, there's also such a huge resale market.
Oh, this is cute.
This is the tree-wise Labubu. It's the monkey one. So this sold the whole
see no evil,
set.
Hear no evil, right?
Yeah, the whole set sold for $25,000 US dollars.
In the market, if there are people willing to buy, if there are people willing to sell, then that's a deal. But I think what their concern is probably if the market goes overheated.
Yes. So that kind of raises the question, right? Are we currently, right now, in a Labubu bubble? Because obviously, as collectibles, there's a lot of hype around these Labubus. And like we said, there's a huge second-hand market, right? And a lot of these are resellers who are speculating on the price. Let's say you buy this from the Pop Mart shop for $30.
Yeah.
If I buy it and I open it and I can tell you the specific color, I can resell it for maybe... We sell it for almost double the price. And of course, that's just for these standard Labubus that Pop Mart stocks on their websites quite frequently, right? So then what if we're talking about like limited edition Labubus, like the life-size Labubus, older versions that maybe they've stopped making? What's the markup on all that? So are we in a Labubu bubble right now?
Well, I don't know, but judging from the queues at the Pop Mart stores, judging from how fast the new Labubu was launched, get snatched, there's probably too much attention on it, right? So
there's always queues.
Of course, people queue there for a reason. I think last year some friends from TikTok were telling me that on TikTok shop platform, Labubus is the only product where you put sort of the conversion rate from people viewing the product description to finally make a purchase, make a payment is 100%. So everybody who clicks into the product page
Buys it.
ends up buying. I initially say, wow, so much interest. Then upon some reflection, I thought, there's probably a lot of people just buying for resale because a normal consumer behavior, they will not be able to be so determined to buy it, right?
So Pop Mart does do like timed releases where a certain date, a certain time, they are going to restock Labubus on their website.
Like tickets and stuff, right? Yeah.
So obviously that makes it a lot easier for these resellers to purchase because they're a lot quicker than the regular consumer who wants to buy the Labubus, right? This is their job. This is what they do for a living. So they're quick at it.
They're quick because their fingers are quick, or they use professional tools?
They probably have like some
probably
algorithm
optimize their network speed
them,
and make them artificially closer to the server, etc.
Yes, like jump the queues and all. So obviously there's a huge market of people who are speculative buying the Labubus because obviously they expect the market value to either keep going up or to be high enough that they would always resell. Be able to resell, right?
It's similar to NFTs, what we have seen, right? A few years ago. Yeah.
What we saw with NFTs in 2021, 2022, when it was hot and people were essentially buying a bunch of digital assets, not to keep for their own, but to sell. And of course, we've seen this with toys as well, right? There were like Beanie Babies, Pokemon cards.
I have no idea what that is, but...
You know what Pokemon cards are, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Pokemon cards, which are making a comeback. But essentially, the thing that happens with all this is that eventually the bubble bursts. Either you overproduce too much, and then there's too much hype in the market, and once you overproduce too much, or I don't know, the hype dies, the value of all these toys or products just drops. To essentially nothing.
Okay.
And then what happens? So then the question is, what happens to all these Labubus when the Labubu bubble bursts?
If the bubble bursts, it will be stuck at someone's hand and someone will incur a massive loss. This is something which has been studied in economics for centuries, right? From the tulip mania in the Netherlands, like many centuries ago. So people have been studying about that, and there's this whole sort of theory about, how do you prevent things from overheating? How do you sort of engineer a soft landing? And because otherwise you will see a crash. And I think from Pop Mart as a company, they care about this a lot, right? Because if Labubu eventually crashes, and that's going to hurt the company big time, because first all these people's confidence about the value of its
the
products
that you're buying
will crash. You would rather, as a company, you would rather just like any economy, right? You would rather everything to have a healthy, slow, gradual appreciation, so that whoever who holds it would have some earning. But you don't want it to be a situation that the price actually goes astronomically and suddenly come all the way crashing down, because it's pretty hard to recover from that.
Yes, and I would think as a company you wouldn't want the price to suddenly just dip, because Pop Mart itself is also a publicly listed company, so this definitely
and
would.
The stock price grew 13% over the last 8 months or something.
Because of Labubu.
And if the company's management is in a mindset of, okay, I want to get rich quick, I want to sort of grab the money and stuff, I don't care about consequences, they'll probably just profit from that. Selling the stocks and stuff, pump and dump, right? So
I was like,
something Sabrina is familiar with, but
I just earn my money and then I will dip when I have to dip. Find another business.
But of course, I think Pop Mart, at least the founder, he's ambitious and he's also very determined. So So he will probably not want to see the situation. He will probably wants to build a company that will last for, I don't know, a century or something. So if that's the guiding mindset, and I think the Pop Mart would take some actions to actually engineer a soft landing of the Labubu mania.
How do you engineer a soft landing?
So for instance, a few weeks ago, when the price became very hot, and what they did is that they suddenly restocked
Labubus on
Labubu on their website.
platform.
So of course it's not as simple as just I put additional stock, right? So for all the resellers who bought it hoping to sell, then suddenly they realize that okay, there's enough stock. They can't really resell at a massively higher price.
Trying to encourage people who actually want to buy the Labubu for themselves to buy it from official websites rather than the second-hand market.
And also you need to hurt resellers in a way so that the sort of speculation not necessarily dies down, but subsides.
That's a little less speculation, because there's probably a lot of speculation now when people are buying to like stock up on the Labubus.
Yes, and it's not healthy, right? So if you stock up too much, and when it comes crashed down, I think your interest in Pop Mart will probably just die.
This current interest is mostly Labubus, but Pop Mart itself also has a lot of other IPs that are not just currently not as hot as Labubu, right? So should they, as a company, try to be pushing out these other IPs as well?
They are pushing out other IPs, and I think maybe a similar analogy is something we're familiar with live commerce, right? I mean, you don't want somebody to be super successful, then one day coming crash down because of whatever incident.
Yes.
You'd rather create a consortium of moderately successful IPs or live hosts or whatever, right? And or stars, and one of them is more successful than others. That's fine, but you don't want a situation that's highly volatile, because that's bad for business planning. That's bad for the long term, and that creates lots of concentration risk.
When you only have one and then it drops.
Yeah. And founder of a Pop Mart, and before he became super famous, he actually did lots of interviews. I mean, lots of them are actually published in video format in Chinese social media platforms. You can see the raw side of him, so which is actually pretty impressive. There's one interview where he was asked, hey, so your products, I think back then was Molly, right? Only Molly. It's so hot. Why can't you, just raise more capital and go and open like 500 stores, 500 stores, 1,000 stores, 3,000 stores, because at that time Pop Mart only had 100 stores.
100 stores.
And the founders, one response was that the capabilities of our organization only allows us to have 100 stores, and beyond that, I don't think we can handle effectively.
So he has very good this is not really long-term foresight, but he focuses more on being able to grow the company at a very sustainable rate, rather than just growing because
some external investor wants you to grow and not caring about consequences afterwards.
Yeah.
I think he's a pretty shrewd business person.
So it's not just like taking money and then growing, and then if it crashes, it crashes. He's thinking about sustainable. So that's probably why I would say Pop Mart would be engineering a soft landing for Labubu.
Yes.
So they wouldn't want to.
I think from their point of view, they probably think that whether Pop Mart, the market cap is overvalued or not, that's a separate question. But they probably think that the way that the prices of Pop Mart as a stock, the price of Labubu, the way has gone up, and it's certainly not a sustainable and healthy way. So they need to moderate that a bit.
But it takes quite a lot of foresight for a leader to be able to make this decision, especially when you see the fact that one of your products is selling so well. You can just capitalize on it.
It's not foresight per se. I think anybody who managed to build a successful business would know that in theory. But when the temptation is there, would you be able to sort of
resist the temptation?
Yeah.
Yeah, because what's stopping them from just
getting some quick profit,
selling a bunch of Labubus, earning the money, and then just letting it crash and die and move on to something else?
Yeah, I think truly great leaders know how to delay the gratification.
Self-control. So hopefully we wouldn't see the Labubu bubble burst anytime soon.
I hope it doesn't burst. I hope that I continue to see innovative IPs coming from the company.
Maybe the heat would die down a bit, but then it would be a little more sustainable growth, right? Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Impulso podcast. We hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode, and if you did, or if you are curious to hear us talk a little bit more about Pop Mart, we do have 2 other episodes that will be linked down in the show notes below. If you enjoyed this video, do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to stay up to date on the latest happenings and trends in tech, new retail, and the broader digital economy. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.